Hello. It's good to see you. Today we are going to be making my younger son's birthday cake. He's having a party this weekend. You will probably not see this video until Sunday and it will all be over by then. But he had a special request for his birthday cake. So I decided, this is Friday, I just got home from work and I'm going to make this cake for him. Now, 8 years ago, I made a cake for his older brother for his 10th birthday. And my younger son asked if he could have a similar cake for his birthday. And I am not a professional cake decorator or cake crafter, okay? So if you're upset by like crudely fashioned cakes, this is probably not the video for you because I am no professional. You will see that in short order. But when his brother turned 10, he wanted a cake that looked like a tank, like a tank with the tracks and the barrel and all that. So I didn't really know how to make a cake that looked like a tank. So I just went to Google and I just started looking at tank cakes, and I saw one that looked pretty basic, so I decided to do it. And this is the cake that I made for his brother 8 years ago. So basically that's the look I'm going for, just something kind of like that. So it's going to be very simple. And but the thing is, you have to get a lot of different things to go onto the cake and to do the cake with. I have stuff all over my table today that I want to show you. Now the cake part itself is actually going to be super easy because I discovered something great. This yellow cake mix from Baker's Corner, this is from Aldi. This is the most delicious yellow cake. It is wonderful. I made one of these cakes for my dad not too long ago, and I made one for us too, like just a little one. And my kids loved it. They said this yellow cake mix is better than my yellow cake that I've made from scratch, and I've tried several different recipes. They said this was the best that they had ever had, and it says it's one of the best loved brands here on the box. And I'm going to make this just according to the directions on the box. I know a lot of people in the Aldi fan pages online talk about how much they like this cake mix, but they add extra stuff to it. I'm not adding anything extra. I'm just going to make it according to the instructions on the back. So we're just going to be making yellow cake, and then we are going to cover it with a homemade icing that it's a very simple little icing recipe, and I'll just put it in the description. It's very simple. I have it written down here. It's a chocolate frosting, and it just has half a cup of melted butter, 2/3 of a cup of unsweetened cocoa powder, 3 cups of powdered sugar, 1/3 of a cup of milk, and a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And basically you just get your hand mixer and you mix all that up and you have a really good chocolate icing. And one thing I wanted to mention before I forget, because somebody asked this in the last time I made a cake, they asked about this, and I was curious, so I looked it up because I wasn't really sure what the difference is between icing and frosting. Now, I have always used those terms interchangeably. I think a lot of people do. For me, and I had to really think about it, for me, I was like, when do I say frosting and when do I say icing? For me, if I make it, I call it icing. If I buy it in a tub or a container, it's frosting. Probably because it says frosting right there on the container. And I got to thinking about it, and my mom was the same way. Now I don't remember her ever buying a tub of frosting, but I remember her, pointing them out in the store, and she would call it frosting. But whatever she made at home, it might be exactly the same consistency and everything, but she would call it icing. I think that's why I do it. But I never really thought about it before. When do I say icing and when do I say frosting? And it comes down to, I guess, whether or not I made it. So anyway, I looked it up because I thought there has to be a difference between icing and frosting. And there is. There are some differences. And I found this from allrecipes.com, and I wanted to share it with you. So the first question is, what is frosting? Frosting is most identifiable by its thick and fluffy consistency. Because frosting holds its shape and is opaque in color, you'll see it often used and called for when you're decorating cakes and cupcakes. So basically, that's what I'm making. It's going to be a frosting. Another trait that sets frosting apart from icing is that it is always whipped, and unlike icing, its main ingredient is fat, such as butter or cream. The key qualities of frosting are thick and fluffy consistency, holds its shape when spread, opaque, and the main ingredient is a fat, such as butter or cream. So then you have to ask, well, what is icing? Well, unlike frosting, icing is thinner, glossier, and flows more due to its consistency. It's great for drizzling. See, to me that just sounds like a glaze. Icing doesn't hold its shape like frosting and is regularly used in decorating as an accent to its frosting counterpart. A drizzle on top of a layer of frosting, for example. It is also used as the sole decoration or coating for pastries or donuts. So the key qualities of also, icing tends to be more translucent and only hardens and becomes more opaque as it cools down. And like frosting, icing can be flavored with vanilla, chocolate, or lemon. So then you have the key qualities of icing. Thinner, glossier with a more liquid-like consistency. Doesn't hold its shape when spread. Translucent when wet, more opaque when hardened. And the main ingredient is powdered sugar. So that's the difference, I guess the technical difference between icing and frosting, which I never knew, and I learned something, so I wanted to share that. Okay, so what we're going to be doing with this. Well, I had to go on a little shopping expedition for some of these items, but then I realized when I got home today from work, I didn't really stop to consider what size pans I wanted to use to make this cake. I don't have exactly what I want to use, but you ever get involved in a project and you've had to go and do and get a lot of things, and you finally just reach a point like, I'm not going anymore. I'm not going out anymore. We're just going to go with what we have. I'm at that point with this cake. I went to 3 different stores trying to find one thing and never found it, and that's, I think, when I reached my saturation point with this project. So I said, we're just going to use what I have here. So I have this little dish here. This is like a, I don't know what size you call it. It's an Anchor Hawking something or other pan, because I wanted something that was kind of deep like this. And I looked at my casserole dishes and none of them quite were this deep. So we're going to use this. This is going to be like the main tank body. This is going to be our tank body. And what I wanted was something big enough where on the sides I could put a full-size Oreo cookie, because we're going to be using Oreo cookies for the wheels. I have big Oreo cookies, like regular size, and then I have these little Oreo minis. So we're going to have some little wheels and some big wheels on these tanks. And this thing's awfully empty. I wonder who got into it. Wasn't me. And I have my full-size Oreos that it looks like somebody's been in that too. I wouldn't know anything about it. So this is going to be the main tank right here. And I wanted something to go on the top, you know, like a top part. And I looked through all of my pans and my dishes, and I couldn't really find anything that was quite what I wanted. So here's what I'm going to try. I have 2 boxes of this cake mix. So if one box isn't enough, I can make a second one, and whatever I have left over, I can just make cupcakes with. Well, for starters, we're gonna put the batter in the pan, in the little thing. And then I want to fill up, I would say at least 4 of these, and do cupcakes. I got my little papers if I need them. I may not bother with them. And then I will just take these little layers and put them together in such a way as to make the top of the tank, because I don't want to go out anymore and I don't feel like buying anything else. We have cool stuff to decorate our tank with too. So the way I did his brother's cake, I used color safe spray. You have these edible food sprays. I have black here, edible color spray, and from Wilton I have this color mist in gold. Now the frosting is going to be chocolate, so it's already going to be kind of brown. because I was going for camouflage colors on the tank, just like his brothers. And I have this edible color spray in green. I tried to find one a little darker, but I couldn't. But I'm not going to worry about it at this point. And for the barrel, this is what I used. This is from Pepperidge Farm, Pirouette Chocolate Hazelnut little delicacies. They look like this. And see, this is going to be sticking out as the barrel. And you can spray this with the Color Safe spray as well. And that's the way I did it. Yes, and there's plenty left over. And for the tracks, I got to looking at the picture, and it looks like the tracks on the other one I did with little mini Hershey bars, like strips of Hershey bars. But for this one, we're going to try these. I have 3 bags of these little Kit Kat Thins. And feeling them in the bag, it feels like they're about that wide. So we're going to see if we can use these little Kit Kat Thins to make like the tracks on the thing. We're just going to set them on top of the frosting. It's icing. It's been icing for almost 50 years. If I made it, it's icing. This is going to sit on top of the icing. So you've got Oreo cookies for the wheels and Kit Kats for the tracks, and the little Pirouette little chocolate hazelnut thing for the barrel, and the color spray. So that's going to be like the decorative part. And you know, his brother's tank, we had these little army men, and we had little army men around the tank. I thought that would be the easiest part. I thought, oh, no problem. I'll just ask my kids if they have any of their army men left over, you know, and we'll just, you know, like sanitize them and clean them and, you know, use them. They couldn't find any of their army men. They had no army men. So I thought, oh, that's okay. I'll just go to the store and get some army men. I couldn't find any anywhere. I went to Dollar Tree, Dollar General, and Walmart. No, they didn't have any just the little green army men, you know, like the ones from Toy Story, you know. Nobody had them. So I decided I want to use something. So when I was at Dollar Tree, I found these characters. And I was just looking for small characters to like, you know, pose either on the tank or around the tank. I found Miguel and Hector from Coco, the movie. They're small enough, so we're gonna have Miguel and Hector commanding the tank. And then I also got this guy. I have no idea. I don't know anything about. I think this is like a video game or something. This is Sergeant Steele from Final Faction, which I know nothing about. But I thought he looks like he could definitely be in charge. So he's going to be like the guy in charge. So we're going to have Miguel, Hector, and Sergeant Steele, all purchased at Dollar Tree. So the first thing we have to do is mix up the cake mix. And that is so simple. There's nothing to it. I'm not making this cake from scratch. Honestly, I tell you, if you haven't tried this yellow cake mix from Aldi, you have to try it. Even if you hate, you know, box mixes like this, try it anyway. We loved it personally. I agreed with my kids. I thought it was better than any cake, any yellow cake I've ever made from scratch. It's really good. And it's inexpensive. This was only 85 cents at my Aldi. And I bought 2 because I wasn't sure how many I was going to need. All you need is a cup of water, half a cup of vegetable oil, and 3 eggs per box. We're going to start with 1. If I don't have enough, then I will mix up the other. And then I can just make some cupcakes with the leftover batter. So let's go ahead and mix up our cake mix. All right, we are ready to make our classic yellow cake mix. No synthetic colors. Look at that, it's practically a salad. So for this, you just need a cup of water, half a cup of vegetable oil, 3 eggs. And it tells you how to make it here. You can make it in a bundt pan or cupcakes, or you can do whatever you want to with it. We're going to start with just this 1 box. And I do have another box if I need it. We can't do anything else before I show you my bowls. Look at these pretty things. I really do love them. I use them frequently. Now, I will tell you with these bowls, they're melamine. I always wash them by hand, and I don't ever put them in the microwave. I don't even put them in the refrigerator. I only ever use them for mixing stuff. they pretty? I bought these at an antique store, but they're not antiques. You can actually buy these on Amazon, and they have different colors. But this one I think is my favorite. Look at that. And so there are 4. This is the smallest, and see, it has this pretty little speckled design on it. And the blue one is nice too. See how this one reminds me of a robin's egg. You know how they kind of have speckles? Like that. And then we have this one. It's kind of a yellowish green color. Right there. Tons of speckles in there. And then the largest one is this orange one. And I think we'll use this orange one to mix up our cake mix. Like that. So I don't think we'll need these. I forgot to show you this. Oh, it's very reflective. These are cake boards that I bought at Walmart. These are 3 big cake boards. You get 3 of them. And for this one, I think I can cut it in half and just use half, and then I can save the other half and the other 2 full-sized ones for another day. But see, these are big, and I thought that would give us a nice sturdy surface to put our tank cake on. And I don't really have anything big enough to put it on, so that's why I bought these cake boards the other day. So we are now ready to mix our mix. This is the yellow cake mix. There. Now, to that, we're going to add our cup of water. And we have a half a cup of vegetable oil. Put that in there. And we have our 3 eggs. Look at that. Looks like 3 balls. I knew a guy, I really did know a guy that had 3 balls. Well, I have to take somebody's word for it. I didn't see it, but I heard it. I had it on good authority that he truly did. So I'm going to pour our 3 eggs in here. And just bloop, bloop, bloop. I don't know whatever happened to that guy. I knew him years ago. Okay. I'm just going to break that up, stir it together. Now I'm going to stir it by hand a little bit, and then I'm going to use the electric mixer to really get in there and mix it all up. You can do it by hand, it just takes a while. I want to make sure I get all the little clumps. And I prefer to use the hand mixer for that. So I'm going to go mix this with my little mixer, and then I'll be back. Okay, there we go. And I used my little hand mixer. Now, we're going to start with this little funny little pan right here. Now what I did was I took a piece of parchment paper and I put it underneath here, and then I took a pencil and I went around the underside, and then I cut it, and I've put non-stick cooking spray in here, and then I just laid this on top of the non-stick cooking spray that was on the bottom of the pan. And I really like doing it that way. I have found that when I make cakes, I really like to do that. It really helps keep it from sticking to the pan. So now we're going to pour some of this batter in there. I want to make this nice and tall, and I may end up needing more than this. I mean, it will rise quite a bit, but I might need to crack open the second box of cake mix. Let's see what we have. How much is that? Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and mix up the second box, and we're just gonna we'll have a bunch of cupcakes too, and there's nothing wrong with that. All right, I'm back with a fresh batch. Just gonna put a little bit more in there, not a lot. Just stop about right There. Okay. Let's spread that out a little bit. Yep. So I'm going to bake that at 350. And I'm also going to put batter in the cupcake pans too. Okay, I have placed the big part in the oven, and I found these cute little cupcake papers here. They're green with white dots and white with green dots. And I have this 12 muffin little tin here. I have placed some of my batter in here. I figured this would make it a little easier to pour. I'm not very good at this, so don't do what I do, but we never get to use this bowl, and I thought this would be perfect. I have a lot of batter, so we can make some cupcakes. Maybe the kids can take them home after the party or something. I don't know. Whatever. I found that if you have kids, you never have to worry about cupcakes going to waste, because they never do. That's never been a problem. They will eat them. They don't mind. They're very helpful. Come on, give me one more without me having to scrape. All right, I get some more batter. I have another little muffin pan over here. Then I'm gonna make my tank top with, not like a shirt, but the top of my tank. Yeah, you try to search for tank anything, you get a lot of tank tops. Here. Okay, there's my dozen. And now we have these muffin tins are a little bit deeper than the others, but we don't have the papers. I sprayed the inside of each one of these little cups with non-stick cooking spray. I have some more batter here. I'm going to try to craft the top of my tank top with these little sections here. They don't have to be perfect because I'm going to end up cutting them anyway. Getting it all over. My hands are clean. I'm working with a lot of batter today. And a little bit more for this last one. All right. The cake is in the oven, and then after the cake comes out, I'll go ahead and do the cupcakes. All right, here we have the cake. It's nice and brown. It smells delicious. I'm going to place it on a wire rack and let it cool. And while it cools, I have the cupcakes in the oven now. While this cools, we're going to get started on the icing, frosting. All right, first, before we get into the icing, I just took these out, and I had enough batter left to make this little loaf right here. Look how cute it is. Oh my gosh. I forgot I had these little mini casserole dishes, little mini something or other, like a mini quiche, but it's oval. And I made a little loaf with the leftover cake batter. And we've got all these. We got 18 little cupcakes. So these here with the paper are the ones that I'll just slap some icing on those if we have leftover icing. And then I will use some of these to make the top of the tank, the tank top. And my cake is over there cooling nicely. So I'm going to put these aside, set these aside to cool, and then we will make the icing frosting. Look, I'm going to call it icing because that's just what it is. and I have my ingredients for that, and we will do that next. We are now ready to make my icing, frosting, whatever. So the first thing you want to do, you want to take a stick of butter, melt it. So it's melted here. There are a few little pieces in there, but I don't think it'll matter. Pour this in here. I'm going to use that big bowl again, because when it's time to mix, I have to add 3 cups of powdered sugar in here, and you want to have plenty of room to mix it up, and so I find that a larger bowl is better. Now at this point you have your butter in there. You want to take your unsweetened cocoa powder, and I have this baking cocoa from Baker's Corner. That's from Aldi too. 100% cocoa unsweetened. It's fair trade certified. Those are twice as nice, guarantee. It's really good. So you want to take, let's see, 3/4, let's see, is it 2/3? I think it's 2/3 of a cup. I'm going to put the recipe for this in the description. It's very easy. So right now all we're doing is adding in that cocoa. It's not sweetened. We're just mixing it into that melted butter. Just get it all mixed in. We haven't added anything else yet. Here, this is the easiest. You could do this no problem. And you know, if you're having a chocolate craving, you can make this really fast and have some yummy chocolate. You could just sit there and eat a bowl of icing. Who knows? Okay. Oh, look at that. Oh, isn't that pretty? That's just the butter and cocoa. Now what we're going to do, what I'm going to do, is I'm going to take 1/3 of a cup of milk, a teaspoon of vanilla extract. I have my Stone Mill vanilla extract, and 3 whole cups of powdered sugar. Now for this, you can use a stand mixer or an electric hand mixer. I'm just going to use my little electric hand mixer, and I'm going to mix them in, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so that's all there is to it. Now what I did was I started out with my melted butter and my cocoa, and then I added in the vanilla extract and the milk, and I just used my little spatula here to just kind of mix those together. And it's only 3 cups of powdered sugar. A lot of these recipes call for 4 or 5. I just dumped in the powdered sugar, about a third, like 1 cup at a time, mixed it in with the spatula, and then I used my hand mixer to really mix it, and you get this nice frosting. Look at that. It smells delicious. It's so simple to make. There's just nothing to it. So now we have to figure out how we're going to craft this tank cake. All right, I have my cake here. It's nice and cool, and I cut this in half. So you see how it looks? It looks really nice. I'm going to cut sort of, I have just this little knife here. I'm going to cut at an angle, like here, cut this, and I don't know, maybe right there. I don't really know anything about tanks, so I'm not sure what kind of tank this is. See, I've just cut this little wedge. I'm going to set that aside. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here. And it really doesn't matter if it isn't perfect. I don't think anybody will really worry about it too much. Just cutting just a little angle there, like that. Show you what I've done. See, we have that little angle, and see what we're going to do is we are going to, and I took 4 cupcakes. We're going to put them, let's do them. I'm not going to do it right now. I'm just going to give you an idea of what I was thinking. I'm going to make like a square with these cupcakes. I mean, it doesn't really have to be perfect because, see, this is going to be covered with icing. And we'll have icing under here, of course. And then we will cover this top part with icing. The little barrel will stick out here. But we don't need those quite yet. What we need to do now is we need to ice this part. So we have our icing here. And I really like using these silicone spatulas because they have a bit of flexibility to them. And I find that they work really great for icing cakes. I have a Wilton little icing frosting knife thingy, but honestly, these little inexpensive little spatulas from Dollar Tree work better in my opinion. So I just use these. We're going to do the sides too. I'm just trying to get the top first. There. And again, we're going to be spraying this with that edible spray in green and gold and black. So none of this has to be super duper perfect. Of course, we want to make sure we get icing on the sides so our wheels will stick to the tank. Okay. Get that little angle right here. I don't know if I like that shiny surface, but that's the cake boards that I ended up with, so I guess it's all right. Again, these are 13 and 14-year-old boys. I really, oh dear. These are 13 and 14-year-old boys. I really don't think they're going to criticize my cake. They might. I doubt it though. As long as we have good food and stuff, I don't really think they're gonna worry about it too much. Okay, I've turned it and now I'm getting this other side of the tank. And honestly, I could leave some of this chocolate icing on here and it just looks like mud, like it's rolling through the mud, or it's rolling through something unsavory. Okay, there. Okay, I have covered our little tank there. So let's place these back here at the back. Like this. Let's see how this goes. Oops, crumbs. I don't think I'm gonna worry about it. Our tank is tough. It can handle anything, even my messy skills. Put a dollop in the middle. I got an idea. I'm gonna take a muffin on one of the cupcake tops and like use it to kind of stuff there. So we have a filling there. Stay together. I'm just trying to cover. The bad thing is these cupcakes have been cut. I really wish I had gone out and gotten a little something to bake this bit in, but like I said, I was kind of just done and just decided to use whatever I had available to do this part. So I wasn't really worried about it. Cover the back. There's nothing that generous dollops of icing won't fix. I've given up calling it frosting. It's not. This is icing because I made it. The end. All right. Well, it's a little off center, and I'm afraid to turn it up too much, but there we go. Now we want to add our other parts to it. I was ready to add the tracks, but apparently all of these little Kit Kat thins are individually wrapped. So let me go open some Kit Kats first. Okay, I've opened some. Some of them were broken. How should I do this? You know what I could actually do? Break them all in half. Do like that. Because I have this over too far. I was originally going to do them like that, but this part here is too far over. So we're going to break all of these little Kit Kats, stick them in there. Gonna bring them down the side or down the front. Down here, I don't know if they'll stay. There we go. Have a break, have a Kit Kat. Pew. These are so tiny. So these are our little tracks. Oh, you know what? I probably should have sprayed the color before doing this. It's okay. Okay. And then we take our little barrel, stick it in there like that. Okay. Actually, let me spray it before we do the wheels. Actually, I went ahead and took the tracks back off so it won't be on them. My little hot mess of a tank. Oh, I feel sorry for it. Look at this poor little thing. We're going to spray this too. So the way I did it with his brother's cake, now this was like 8 years ago. You just shake the stuff. Now the spray sounds were actually very loud, but I just put little green bits. Now I'm gonna do the black. This is just edible color spray. Okay, so I put some of that on there. And the icing again is kind of brown. And then we're gonna use a little bit of this. Now it says it's gold. I don't know how gold it is. Well, it is kind of gold. I'm gonna go back over it with a little bit more green. Okay. And my tracks right here don't want to stay. So now we can put our little tracks back on the tank. We'll turn it that way. I'm trying to put the broken ends on the inside. We haven't done the wheels yet. This little joker doesn't want to stay. I will paste a little bit of icing on it. Maybe that will help. And just keep placing the tracks. I left those on the sides. Oh, that one's short. This has really been a labor of love. I tell you. But I thought it was cool that he wanted a tank cake. You know, he's gonna be 14 and this may be the last kids cake I make. Unless I ever have grandchildren, this is it. I'm willing to bet. Ooh, that one was broken. I need some more. One, maybe I can get one more right there. Okay. Now, for the wheels, we have our Oreos. I'm going to show it to you from the sides once I place the cookies. I want to leave room for the little Oreos. I'm just going to do 3 big ones on each side. Oh, and here's the hatch. I'm going to scrape this off. There. We have our little hatch on the top. 3 cookies for this side. I'm going to put a little bit of icing on there. Kind of hold them on a little bit better. There. And I have icing left over that I can put on some of those extra cupcakes too. These are pretty good. Now I have 4 of the mini Oreos, and I'm going to place those sort of between up above the big ones. So now I'm going to show you what it looks like on the sides. Okay, it is now 9 o'clock at night. We don't normally end up down here this late, so the lighting is a little different. And we have finished the tank cake. I normally like to pick it up and show you what I've made. I'm a little nervous about this. My son added a little bit more color to it, and he added half of a guy. But here it is. We made a tank cake. Look at that. Now again, if you like professional cake creations, this is not the tank for you, but I think it's perfect. My son saw it. He loved it. He said it was cool. He was very happy with it. So I think it is all ready for his party. He said he can't wait to show it to his friends. He's really excited. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed getting to see the little tank cake for my son's birthday. Makes me kind of sad because this may be, like I was saying, it might be the last time I get to do something like this for one of my kids, but you know, they grow up and it happens. If you have little kids, just enjoy it. Enjoy it while you can, because you will not believe how fast they grow up. Wow. Thank you so much for being here. I really hope that you have a fantastic day, and I will see you again really soon.